In this video, let's take a look at how to use the one variable stats tool in the graphing calculator to compute the means and medians of a data set. Later in this module, you will use the same tool for computing some other summary statistics, and then we'll be doing this throughout the remainder of the course as well. So this is going to be a very important tool for us. Now we all have different calculators and different calculator setups. Some of us have the 83, some have the 84, and some have the 84 plus. And as a result, when you use some of these tools in the calculator, the look is a little bit different. So in this video, I will make sure to cover the two main looks that you will see when working with the one variable stats tool. And so the very first thing that we should do when going through this example is enter the data into our list. And you can see that I've done that here. So I've entered 69, 17, 75, 96, 74, and 80. And then I can say to the calculator, okay, let's go to Stat and Calc. And I want the calculator to determine the single variable statistics here. So that's what this 1VARSTATS stands for. I press Enter. And I have this newer version of the calculator that prompts me for the list, the frequency list, things like that. Now the list is just the list that you've entered your data into, and that is list 1. So there's nothing I need to change there. Frequency list is not something you're going to worry about right now, but in a later module, module 6, we're going to do something with that. But right now I want you to leave that blank, and then you press calculate. Remember that the mean is going to be x bar, that's at the top. So our x bar is equal to 68.5, and if we scroll down, we'll see the median at the bottom. The median is equal to 74.5. So it's kind of nice that the calculator is sorting the data for us, kind of behind the scenes, and then looking for those middle numbers, in this case, averaging the two middle numbers since we have an even number of data points, and it's doing this calculation for us. And so you'll never be computing a sample mean or computing a median by hand in this class. You should always use a tool. And even outside of this class, you would always use a tool, some sort of software for determining these calculations. Okay, so let's take a look at what it would look like if you have a different setup. So I'm going to go into mode, and I'm going to go all the way down to Stat Wizards, and I'm going to turn my Stat Wizards off. Now, if you have the option to turn your Stat Wizards on or off, I would suggest always leaving them on, because that gives you a more user-friendly menu for working with a lot of the tools in the calculator, kind of like what we just saw. But I'm turning this off in this case just to illustrate what some of the older versions of the calculator might look like when we press Stat, Calc, and then try to compute our single variable stats that way. So let's press Enter, and you'll see that all we have is one variable stats. Now, what I recommend here is communicating with the calculator what list your data is in. So if we want to tell the calculator, hey, we have our data in list 1, then put second 1 right after one variable stats to indicate that we're computing the stats on list 1. And then you can press Enter. And you can see that you're going to get the exact same values that we got before. Now let's do that one more time, and this time when I go to the Calc button, one variable stats, I'm not going to tell the calculator to look at list 1. I'm just going to press Enter. And when I press Enter, I get the same answers as I got before. I get 68.5 for the mean, I get 74.5 for the median. And the reason is, in this older type of setup, the default list that the calculator is always looking at is list 1. So if your data are in list 1, then you don't necessarily have to even say L1 after one variable stats. But just to be safe and just to kind of establish really a good process for going through these problems, I like to say one variable stats L1 to communicate with my calculator the list that my data are in. Okay, so that's about it. Hopefully this is useful, and you'll be using this tool, like I said, throughout the rest of the class.